Hi everyone, and welcome to another jelly bean soup tutorial video. Today we're going to make a little mini album that you can use for a December daily project or for any other occasion really. So I have started to make the album, and this is what it looks like. It's not all put together yet, but this is just the base of it. So what you'll need for this project are a few things. You're going to need something for the cover. I've used some jelly bean soup corrugated cardstock paper, but you could definitely use chipboard, covered in pattern paper. You're also going to need several sheets of your favorite paper. So what I have here are just some pieces of paper from the new Christmas cheer chowder soup, and some stickers, some die cuts, any flat embellishments that you have. So that's really all you need for this project. So what you need to do first is trim down your paper. So what I have here is a piece of paper, and it measures 8 inches in width by 6 inches tall. So that's the base for the inside of your book. So what you want to do is, inside mine, I have cut down 6 or 7 sheets this size, and those are going to be the pages inside your little album. So once you've done that, what you want to do is grab a scoreboard, and if you don't have a scoreboard, that's okay. You just need to fold the paper in half. So what I've done to this one here is, it was 8 inches, and I've folded it over. I've scored it at 4 inches, and then I've just folded it over. So you can see it makes like a little booklet. So you want to do that with all of your pages, and you can see I've done that to a bunch of mine here, and then set them aside. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is kind of decide how you want to decorate your pages. What I did before I started to put my album together is I decorated my pages first. So one fun thing you can do with it is create some pockets, and if you have some extra scraps of paper like I have these lying around, you can actually create some pockets, just really simple pockets for your page. You can either have one strip of paper that goes across and make 2 little pockets, or you can change it up and have different size ones. Now this piece of paper, I'm not sure if you can see, but on the bottom it wasn't quite wide enough when I went to trim it down. So there's part of the jelly bean soup coating, UPC coat is on there, but that doesn't matter. So I still trimmed it down, and I'm going to hide that area with these pieces of paper. So what you want to do is just run a really thin piece of glue around the edge of your pocket, and all I've done to cut this pocket is just trimmed it down to 4 inches wide, and I don't know, this one I think is about 3 inches deep, and this one here is 2 inches deep. And I'm just going to fold up one side of the page and line it up to cover up that bottom. And you don't want it to be exactly right into your corner, because then your book won't fold properly. So you just want to line it up with these outer 2 edges. Now I'm seriously adding the tiniest little bit of adhesive, because how I'm going to get my pages to stick is I'm going to sew them together. But if you don't have a sewing machine, or you don't use your sewing machine, all you need to do is get a really thin double-sided tape and just do the bottom outside 3 edges of your pocket. So I'm just going to go ahead and really quickly sew this. Sewing makes it really even faster to do this project, but you really don't have to. You just need some thin double-sided tape. So there you have it. I'll just trim off my little edges. So now I have 2 little pockets here. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let me see if I can get something. I actually have some of these cards here. You can see that you can just fit some things in there. So this is good for memorabilia or some hidden tag journaling. So that's that. And then you would decorate this, however you want. I have this stamp thing here I think I'm going to put on here with some of the clear jelly bean soup stamps. And then you can add die cuts, peapod shapes, stickers, seriously anything you want to do. But I recommend that you kind of start any decorating you want to do where you might need staples or sewing at this point. If you're not going to do that, that's totally fine. Then you can just go ahead to the next step. Okay, so once you have all your pages kind of assembled, as much as you want them anyway at this point, now it's time to put your book together. So what I've done is I've already done that. You can see I've added in a lot of things already to my book because I do like to sew. I did add a lot of things ahead of time. And I've started to put my book together. So it's a very simple accordion book. So as you can see, the pages are just stuck together. And so how you do that is you just take your one piece of paper. So if this is your first page, you need a good double-sided adhesive tape for this. So what I have here is Xyron high-tack adhesive, and it's double-sided, and you can see it comes in a long strip. And you know, terrifically tacky tape or anything like that would also work. And you just want to put the double-sided tape around the outside edge of your book. So you just want to stick it on there. And then add a couple strips into the middle. I mean, I want to actually right in the middle. And this is just so your book, because it's going to get handled obviously, is going to stay together really, really well. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to do this same thing with all your pages. And then at the end, you're going to have an accordion type of thing. So then if you have a double-sided tape, you rub it on really good and just peel it off. No fingernails. There we go. Ay, ay, ay. It's coming. I didn't rub it down hard enough. That's part of the problem. So you really want to rub those corners down so that the bottom sticks so that you can easily peel the tape off. Okay, so there you go. So then you just take your next page. This is mine here, and all you do is line up the edges as best you can, and then you're done. So you just keep going and adding and adding and adding. I'll just add this last page really, really quick, and then my book is ready to go into the cover. Okay, so now at this point, sorry, we're just going to do our cover. My cover here measures 8.5 wide by 6.5 tall. So that's just going to give you a slight overhang onto your book. And I'm just going to show you how I've gone ahead and scored this. I've already pre-started my cover by punching out some stars and just adding some glitter cardstock, and I've actually sewn on a Joy corrugated word with a button too. So what you want to do is you want to flip your paper over and put it onto your scoring tool, and I'll show you also how to do it with your paper trimmer if you don't have a scoreboard. So your good side is down, and you want to score it at 4 inches. And at 4.5 inches. Okay. If you don't have corrugated cardboard, that's totally fine. You could use just a cereal box covered in pattern paper. Works just as good, and it's about the same thickness. And I would probably sew around all that and decorate it a little bit before you do this step. So that's the first part. So you want to get your front cover done, and then the next step is you want to cut a spine for your book. So this here measures, it's 2 inches wide by 6.5 inches long. And so what you want to do is flip it over also, and you want to score that. So the first place you score that is at the 3/4 inch mark, and then again at the 1 1/4 inch mark, and that will create this little spine binding that you have. So if you want to score but you don't have a scoring board, I'll just show you with this here. You can just grab your paper trimmer. If you have one of these kind of paper trimmers, and just remove the blade. You flip it upside down and you just put it into your trimmer. So this one here will be at the 3/4 mark. And you can either hold it like this and just run it through the cutting channel with a bone folder, or you can push it down and do it. So the first one was at 3/4, and then I would put it down, let's say, and run it through the channel. So that's just a little tip on how you can score without a bone folder. What I've also done ahead of time is I have just punched a scallop edge out of this light blue cardstock that I had, and I just trimmed it down just about, I don't know, 1/4 to 1/2 inch, and I'm just going to actually run this along the side of my spine just so it has a little decorative thing. I'm just going to trim off the excess. Just add a little bit of adhesive. And like I said, this is just You don't have to do this. This is just part of my decoration. And I'm actually going to just really, really quickly sew this before I put it onto the cover. So again, you don't need to add the scallop strips, but it's just kind of add a nice little bit to your project. Okay, so what you want to do now is, now that you have your book all together, is you're going to put it in your book. And you can see that 6 or 7 pages for this score line will just fit perfectly. Anything bigger than that and you'll need to create a larger indent and a larger cover. So I'm just going to add some really, really strong adhesive to this here, to my spine binding, I guess you could call it. And I'm going to add that on so I have it ready. And then I'm going to do the inside of my book. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm just going to leave that aside. Now what you want to do is you want to add some double-sided tape down the middle of your spine. Okay, and you also want to add it onto the cover. So I'm going to add one right beside each part of the spine. And again, any double-sided tape will work really good. You really want a strong adhesive because you don't want this to fall apart after all your hard work. And then your book, because it's going to almost hang right to the edge, I'm going to add it all the way around all the 4 edges of the cover and the back. Almost done. And if you wanted, you could also add a little strip of adhesive into the middle, just to be safe and sorry. I'm going to do that. And this is my front page, so I'm going to take the spine and I'm going to stick this into the spine first, and then I'm going to open up each side and stick it right down. Now the reason I like the corrugated cardstock is because it is craft, so it looks like craft, and press really hard. So I don't really feel like I have to decorate it, although I do have a small idea that I'll show you later on at the end of the video. So there is, it's all put together. I'm just going to push it down really hard. And now I'm going to add my spine cover. This will just make it look a little pretty. You don't need to do this if you don't want to, but it definitely adds a little decoration to it. And again, you want to fold it up, place the middle of your book into it, kind of lining up your score marks, and then pushing it on each side. And there you have it. So there's your book. Really, really good. So there you go. And you can see it just fits my pages perfectly, and some of my pages are a little chunkier, so if you wanted to add more pages, you would need to make your inside inset wider and your cover longer. And that's it. And now I do have a couple detailed shots I'm going to show you, so I'll do some push-up shots and explain a couple little tips for inside your mini book, things that you can do. So the first thing that isn't obvious is to use the Bit Size Bites journaling cards to add into your book. You can either just layer them over the pattern paper background, or you can actually tuck them inside a pocket like I've done here. This one from the Christmas Cheer Chowder is just perfect because it has holiday memories on there, which I think is really cute. Also, what I like to add to the pockets are the flashcards. You can see I've stitched one on here, but you can just easily add some tape runner and use that as a kind of like a lifter to hold open your tab. And then I've also, throughout my book, added quite a few of the Jelly Bean Craft cardstock tags. These ones here I've done some stamping, and I'm going to have my kids add some journaling to the back and front of them. Now I also create a longer style of pocket instead of the smaller one I showed you earlier in the video. And this one here goes up the full length of the book. And it's just good to add some larger memorabilia, or even I was thinking my kids' Christmas list, I could just fold them and tuck them in there. Now I created this stamped tag and kind of wove it into the pattern paper I put onto the background. I don't know if you can see in here, but there's 3 strips of paper I used to create my pocket, and I've woven my tag in and out of the strips of paper just like this. And after I had it all intact is when I stamped in that sentiment that I had there. And it was really easy just to add something a little neat, a little peekaboo kind of sentiment onto the tag there, which again we'll use for some journaling on the front and the back. And I think this page here is one of my favorites because it's sparkly, and I used to use the vellum coin pocket to add a little sparkle with some confetti sequins, and then I just stitched along the top with the journaling peapod part. And this is just a quick close-up of my cover. Again, I used a corrugated cardstock Joy word and some of the corrugated cardstock and sequin glitter paper. So I hope you've enjoyed this mini book tutorial, and we can't wait to see all your projects. So please share them with us here on the blog or on our Facebook page, and we'll see you next month for a new video.